Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Raptor here with Good Clean Gaming RX, and today we are back in Eco on the Dadspeed server for our second video in the Economics video series. Today I'm going to be going over calculating cost and price, how to best do that, different ways that you can save on your initial outlay for various different items, and just some of the basics of eco in general. It was pointed out to me by one of my viewers last night, a couple of different problems that I had with some of the things that I had expressed, which I must agree with. I'm going to see if I can pull that up here quickly. But he basically said that the problem with, I guess, with eco and with some of the supply and demand logic that I employed is that there's not really any consumption in eco. You know, even building materials and everything, you put them up and you use them the first time, say your mortared stone or your hewn logs or whatever, and you start building with those, and then you know, a little bit down the road you switch and you use some of my concrete and put it up. Well, what do you do with the hewn logs? Well, you either use them and, you know, reuse them yourself, or you put them up on the market, and generally you're putting them up for, yeah, sometimes as much as you spent to purchase them. Sometimes it's a little bit less because you're just interested in getting rid of them. And so if that's the case, then, you know, they're not actively being used in, you know, in the real world. You just have debris and that kind of thing. You know, you might be able to reclaim some of it, but for the most part you just have a large chunk of debris that you would effectively have to scrap, and is no good really to anyone. And in eco, that's not the case. You can really just throw them right back onto the open market, and you know, people are going to be able to buy them, and that, you know, kind of breaks the consumption cycle there. And the same thing goes with, you know, one-time use items such as clothes. You know, even things like the ashlar furniture and stuff that I mentioned yesterday, or the composite benches, things like that. You know, once they've been used, or you don't want them anymore, they don't fit the decor, whatever, you can just pop them right back on the open market and sell them. There's really no used furniture, so to speak. No degradation or anything over time. And so it kind of breaks the cycle just a little bit, as there's no real degradation of items, no rotting of foods or anything like that. Oh, they've improved the road, finally. There was a lot of dirt going through here for a little while. So yeah, that was one of the items that that was definitely that needed to be addressed. The other, of course, was just that he mentioned that, you know, as in production, it really doesn't make any difference whether you're queuing up 1 or 10,000 of an item, as long as the materials are supplied and everything. Those will just get churned out and put into, you know, into the market, and there's not really any cost for storage or anything like that. And so, you know, it's very easy for one person to, as long as they're willing to make it up in volume, unbalance, I guess, the market to some extent. Kind of like we saw with Panda's purchase, is that he had yeah, okay. Come on. There we go. Sell it at General's Engineering for 250. Bump and grind. He's got money as well. And Silver's concrete and cement for 0.1. Not going to do that, but we've definitely got enough to take care of this. Where's bump and grind to? 520 east. Right there. Okay, same place then. Perfect. Well, we'll go ahead and purchase. Looks like probably all of that. Actually, we're not going to be able to fit all of that into there, so let's go ahead and do 150. There we go. And oh, we can definitely do more than that. Let's do another 200. Inventory's too heavy. Okay, how about another 150? There we go, and we should be able to fit another 120 into there. Inventory is too heavy. Oh, okay, so let's go for another 50 or so. Oh, too heavy again. This stuff is ridiculously heavy. There we go. And that'll be about as much as we can fit here. So we are getting taxed on that purchase. So we will have to keep that in mind, of course. So that kind of clears up some of the things that that my viewer mentioned. They also pointed out, hey, can you increase the volume? So I've done that. Hopefully it's easier to hear me talking over things now. I can of course always turn down the volume of the in-world sounds, the car engines and all that kind of stuff, to help make it a little bit of a better balance. But I've turned up my voice a little bit, so hopefully that's been enough and you guys are hearing me quite clearly now. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start getting into cost and price calculations, and basically how one can balance that so that they are, number one, making money, and number two, making enough to bother actually, producing the material while still providing a competitive price on the market. So, ooh, that's new. That's definitely new there. Very nice. So the first thing to keep in mind when you are calculating cost is that what you're putting onto the market, or the materials that you're purchasing off of the market, are going to fluctuate in price. There are going to be, and even just the materials available on the market. You might have, say for instance, I'm buying coal to put into my steel. There are going to be prices on the market that range from say 0.1 all the way up to say 0.4. Up and grind to, there we go. And the number that you get, or I guess the amount that people will be willing to trade to you, will kind of be dependent on the price point that you are purchasing for. Go ahead and we'll sell those there quickly and make, there we go, a little bit more money. Perfect. Oh, he's got asphalt and stone roads. Very nice. So that being said, obviously if you are putting your buy price up as one of the higher ones on the market, even higher than anything that someone can purchase it for, and you're purchasing a high number of them, you're going to be one of the first places that people stop off, assuming of course that you're not ridiculously far out of the way. if you're, you know, several hundred or thousand meters away from the person purchasing things, you're going to have to keep in mind that a lot of people are not going to drive long distances to bother supplying you with your needed ingredients. So keep that in mind. You either have to increase your price or, you know, make sure that you have somewhere that you are getting it from a lesser distance. So to go over steel, though, this is one of the products that I'm creating. I'm selling mine for $5, and these are the different purchase prices for what I'm making, or the ingredients for what I'm making. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my calculator here, and I'll basically show you the process that I use for calculating cost. So first off, take a look at what module you have in there, because that's going to determine, at least for the ingredients that can have an ingredient requirement reduction, how much that reduction is going to be. So if you're on a competitive server where, you know, you're pricing things and there's a lot of competition for your price point, upgrading that module is going to be your best friend. Taking that from a module, an advanced, or whatever module you're using, really, from a 1 to a 2, or especially a 2 to a 3, is going to make a massive difference in the number of materials, and that goes to your bottom line, how much it's going to cost you to actually produce this item. I've got a 45% reduction. I haven't actually jumped up to the advanced smelting upgrade 4, or advanced smelting upgrade, so that'd be a 50% reduction, essentially a 5. There are a couple of places there where they can be sold, but no one's really got any on the market, which you kind of can see the point with that. The people who are running at level 7 have a little bit of an advantage. They have that extra 5% that they're not needing to purchase to actually make those. But if we look into my steel bar recipe and we look at the crafting repetition section here, it's costing me 100 advanced smelting labor, which, if we do the calculation, of course, we'll see how many calories that we're looking at. And then it's costing 1.1 iron bars, 1 quicklime, and 2 coal. So the quicklime and the coal, of course, cannot be reduced. If we look over here at steel bars, both of those have the yellow border on them, so those prices are locked. I cannot change how many of them I need. I can only change the price that I'm purchasing them for. If we scroll up here to quicklime, we can see that that's going to cost crushed limestone, and that it's going to cost us 0.55 times crushed limestone. So if we look out here and we pull up the calculator again, we're basically going to create an equation that has the cost of each product multiplied by the amount that I need. And we're going to add all of those values up together. So I need crushed limestone, and I need 0.55 of that. I'm going to go ahead actually and pull up a piece of scrap paper here and just write all of these values down quickly, because I don't have my quick sketch pad up. But essentially what I would be doing, here we go, we can do this. We'll pull up a, there we go. Well, no, that's not going to be it either. Okay. Let's go back to general and go steel bars. Oh goodness. We're a long ways away here. For some reason it's not updating. There we go. Alright, so if we look at this, we can then click on to mine. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and write down the values that I need here for each of these ingredients. So if we look at our steel bar here, we're going to need 1.1 iron bars, 1 quicklime and 2 coal. Two coal and 1 quicklime. And then the quicklime is going to be 0.55 crushed limestone. So we're going to change this because those are going to be my actual costs. And then if we look at this, we're going to see that we're going to need, let's see here, crushed limestone and how many calories? 80 calorie, or 80 labor, sorry. And we get a reduction on that based on my advanced smelting level, which, there we go, is number 3. So then the benefits here, we're going to see steel bars. Let's find those. There we go. Steel bar recipe, decrease calories of labor by 60%. So instead of taking, getting a 50% return, this is 60% return. So if it costs us 80 quicklime, or 80 labor, sorry, we can multiply that by 0.6. No, sorry, it'd be 0.4 to get our total cost of calories to actually do that labor. And then we also have 100 advanced smelting labor for this, for the steel bar. So I'm going to go ahead and include that as well. So we'll go ahead and go 180 labor. And that'll give us, what we're looking at is our total ingredient cost for each of our different materials. So we'll go ahead then and we'll go over here to the store and we'll pull that up. There we go. Oh, I forgot. 1.1 iron bars, 2 coal, 0.55 crushed limestone, and 180 labor. There we go. And we'll hit enter there so that we don't lose that. Okay, so now we can look at this versus our cost, and we can do our multiplication here. So our coal is at 0.4, and I've just done that based on what we can purchase it for out here in the world. It ranges everywhere from 0.15, 0.32, 0.4, 0.3, 0.35. There's quite a little bit of a range there, but I've kind of set mine at 0.4 so that anyone who's purchasing from 0.3 or below is still capable of making a decent amount of money. This black gator here is the one that I've been driving out and getting it and supplying coal, and that's at 0.3, so you're making essentially a 25% profit there. Well, it's a 33% profit, considering that you're buying for 0.3 and selling for 0.4. And so that's more than the taxes that you're going to be charged. Crushed limestone, a little bit less, that's 0.7 to 0.8. So you're only looking at, is that about a 20%? That you're actually making there, but it's still, you're making less. Actually, no, that'd be about 10%. So you're barely making the taxes back there. And then iron bars I've kept up at 1.6, so that people can buy them at 1.45 or 1.5 even, 1.4, and still make some money on those. So let's go ahead then, and we'll pull up the calculator, and we'll go over how to calculate this. So we're going to take our cost per item, and we're going to multiply it by the number that we need, and we'll create an equation that's going to equal our cost. So we're going to go 1.1 iron bars. Oops. Clear this. This works much better if you use parentheses. 1.1 times our cost, 1.6, end parentheses, and that'll be our total cost for the iron bars, plus, parentheses again, 2 times 0.4, end parentheses again, and you can see the calculation up here, basically what all we're adding together. And then we're going to go ahead and add again, and we'll go 0.8. Oops, forgot my parentheses. There we go. Open parentheses, 0.8 times 0.55. And then we hit the enter button, and that gives us our total cost of production as far as the ingredients go for coal, crushed limestone, and iron bars for creating steel. So it's costing me $3 at these prices to create one steel bar. Now, if we look at the labor cost that I'm putting into this, I'm purchasing my food here, and we're getting this, I think it's around 4.5, 4.8 a piece, and those give me 1,300 calories. So if we pull up our calculator again, we can basically do 4.5 divided by 1,300, and that'll give me my cost per calorie. And then we can take our 180 times 0.4, so it's going to cost me 72 calories, and then we can multiply that by 0.003, and it'll cost me 21 cents worth of money, 21 cents worth of shillings, I guess, or 22 cents of shillings to actually make the labor at my current food cost. So I can factor that in, and we'll add that to the 3, and it's costing me 3.21 break even is my cost to make steel bars. Now, if I factor in then a 20% markup, so we'll do times 1.20, that'll be the cost that I can bear on the market, $3.85 or 86 cents, and make a 20% profit, which is kind of considered to be a good amount, especially for something that we're not selling a large volume of. Now, if we look then back at my price here, I'm selling these for $5, which means I'm making an extra $1.15 of profit. But if I look over here on the market, and where I'm selling this, the only place that there's less than that is this 2. Everywhere else, it's selling for 5, selling for 5.25, all the way across the board there. So I'm going to go ahead and check here and see how we're doing versus the competition. And there are several different places here where it's less than 5. For instance, 4.5 and 4.4 right here. But everywhere else, it's going for around $5. So there are quite a decent amount here. I'm going to go ahead and change my price down so that we're competitive with these two here. They're quite a distance northwest of me, and this one's also quite a distance northwest of me. Steel in the City, northwest also there. Headquarters, southwest. Starship rocks, they're right there in the city. But they're a little bit above me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this price down. And I'm going to sell mine for 4.75. And that allows someone to make a 25-cent profit on these steel bars when they buy them here for 4.75 and sell them over here for 5 or here for 5. Actually, they're out of money anyway. 5.25. There are a couple different places there. There's really not a whole lot of demand on the market currently for steel. The ashlar people, I think, have essentially reached their saturation point. They've made all the ashlar that they can, and it's not really selling. So the second question then becomes, what can we turn that steel into? So we can take these steel bars and we can see, what are these steel bars used in? And we've got various different boots. Those are one-time use. Chainsaws, again, one-time use. You purchase them. There's a little bit of steel cost to repair them. That's about it. We've got the jaw crusher. Most of these things in blue are a one-time use. You buy it and you're good. You don't have to do repairs. You don't have to do really much of anything. The modern tools would be the exception to that. Rebar is one that I can make, but I can't use in my own concrete construction. And I can sell this here at Silver's Concrete and Cement. And desperate for cash exchange. They've got a little bit of money, but it's going to be way below what I can actually make them for. And so if I take this into account then and we look at rebar, and it's going to cost me 1.1 steel bars. So I can pull up my calculator again. And that's going to be, let's see here, we had 3.22 was my total cost, times 1.20, 3.86, and then times 1.1, $4.25, and that builds in that 20% profit. So if I can make it for 4.25 over here, and I can sell it for 5 or 5.5 over here, I'm making 75 cents. You multiply that by 43. I'll pull up my calculator again. And we're making $32.25 or 32.25 shillings. So, you know, I can take that into calculation and go, oh, okay, so I'm going to be making, you know, 32 cents or $32 worth of, or 32 shillings. Is it worth my time and energy to go around and do that? So that's kind of the way that I go about calculating my cost. And then my price, of course, is just, you know, throw on 20%. If it's something that you're going to go through a lot of them, where, say, you're making mortar, which is another thing that I've made before, and you're able to sell those on a consistent basis and able to sell hundreds or thousands of them, then the amount that you're putting your profit onto there, of course, that's up to you to decide how much profit you want to make. But as a general rule, 20% profit, especially on a higher competition server like this, is a good rule of thumb to go by, and will basically allow you to make a good profit and not unbalance the market too much. So I'm going to go ahead and see where I can actually buy. Ooh, Sentinel Lake Surplus. Where is this at? 173 West. That looks like that's pretty close to the best price on the market. Rocks and Ores got 50 of them there for 0.6. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those. I really don't need a whole lot. How many quicklime do we need here? 75 quicklime. I should be able to do that with 50 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll pop over there to Rocks and Ore. actually, we should check. Is this Roxanor Meridian? Oops. Roxanor, where are they at? They're all the way out west. Okay, so I'm not going to bother buying that for an extra 5 cents, or for a reduction in 5 cents in cost. I'm going to take myself over here to the surplus store, which I believe is going to be around here somewhere. Probably right there. Sentinel Lake surplus. Very good. And we'll go ahead and, once this loads in, we'll purchase my limestone, or my crushed limestone. There we go. Ooh, there we go. 185. I'm just going to go ahead and get 50. I don't need that many. Yep, $32.50. And you know that would have essentially wiped out the rebar. You know, the amount of money that I would have made with rebar there. So it's always a good idea to keep in mind how much volume you can sell when you're looking at your prices, and how much you're going to sell them for, how much your costs are, how much profit or margin you're making. All of that is a consideration, and kind of determines how much you're going to be able to make, and of course how much interest you have in making these, considering that it's going to cost, actually, how many? We needed 75, so I'm going to go ahead and make another 25 of those. There we go. Okay, so that's all of my labor that's gone into that. And yeah, that's essentially how we calculate cost. How we calculate price, of course, is just adding on however much you're willing to make, and keeping it under the availability on the market. And yeah, that's really kind of that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button down below, and consider sharing the video with someone else. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more economics videos. Alright everyone, take care. Ta-ta.